Hola, everyone. Welcome to Open. I'm Rhina Valentin, your hosty Café con Leche every Friday. Here's what's coming up in today's very special episode honoring Women's History Month. First up, we have the 13th Commissioner of the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services, Rossana Rosado, here to talk about her new book, Bronx Attitude. Then founding partners of Freedom Studios, Julia Carias-Linares and Meiling, Macías-Toro, join us to talk about their new bilingual unscripted lifestyle series, Fix Mi Casa. And after that, we're joined by two representatives of the Red Carpet for Social Justice Women's Coalition to discuss this year's event. And finally, we will close out today with a tribute for Women's History Month featuring some of the Red Carpet for Social Justice women representing 4 different countries and their cause. So sit back y prepárate. All this and more is headed your way because now we are officially open. Hey everyone, welcome back to Open. I'm Rhina Valentin, your hosty Café con Leche for the next hour, inviting you to get social with us online, that is. Follow us on Instagram at Bronxnet TV and like us on Facebook at Open Bronxnet Television. And of course, while you're there, don't forget to follow moi on FB, Instagram, Insta Stories, Threads, and LinkedIn at Rhina Valentin. Our first guest is a Bronx native who embodies the spirit, the courage, and the attitude of one of the toughest boroughs in New York City. She began her career over 40 years ago as a journalist at El Diario La Prensa, eventually becoming the first woman publisher and CEO of the newspaper. She was appointed Vice President for Public Affairs at the Health and Hospitals Corporation for the City of New York by Mayors David Dinkins and Rudy Giuliani. However, her crowning career achievement in public service was her appointment by Governor Kathy Hochul as acting commissioner of the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services in November of 2021, and then confirmed by the New York State Senate in February of 2022, and making her the 3rd woman, 2nd person of color, and first Latina to lead the agency since its creation in 1972. And if that wasn't enough, she won an Emmy, a Star Award, a Peabody Award, and a New York Press Club President's Award, and that's just to name a few. And today, we're here to discuss the release of her new book, Bronx Attitude. So without further ado, please welcome the 13th Commissioner of the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services, Rossana Rosado.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Oh, wow. We are so excited.
Me too.
Yay. Because this means a lot, and I'm sure it's going to mean a lot to anyone who's watching this. Bronx Attitude. Congratulations.
You like that name?
I love that name. You saw me, I was like, yeah.
You know, when I became publisher, it was 1999, and the New York Times, they did a piece. They used to do that Public Lives piece, and they did a piece, and the headline was, "New Publisher Has a Little Bronx Attitude." And I remember at the time, Freddie Ferrer was borough president, and he says, "I always thought you had attitude." And so I loved it. I named my book because I wanted to represent the Bronx. But also, you know, when people think you're from the Bronx, or when they know you're from the Bronx, they make all kinds of assumptions about you.
And so in your journey, right, because you're proudly carrying this Bronx attitude and you've obviously been in these extremely influential tables, what is it about yourself that you proudly carried into these spaces?
I think I proudly carried the kind of just the nerve to be in the rooms that really weren't created for us, right? At first, you know, my early career, I might have been intimidated, but then when I kind of embraced that Bronx attitude, I was like, well, I'm here.
Right.
Deal with it. And so you go into all these rooms that haven't really been prepared for you, and sometimes you don't know how to behave in those rooms. So you learn, but in the meantime, the attitude keeps you kind of afloat, and it also you don't realize it at the time, but your attitude is intimidating them, and they don't know how nervous you are. You know, when people talk about that imposter syndrome, people don't see that. What they see is kind of that toughness that they think it comes from the street or whatever. But I think it comes from being a Bronxite, you know.
Right, it's a culture.
It is a culture.
It's a culture, and so basically, what you're presenting to us, it probably wasn't even named back then, is code switching.
Right. We didn't know what it was called.
Right.
But you knew how to behave in certain spaces, and then you came back to the Bronx and you could be with your people. I grew up in kind of an extended family where we always had adults, you know, coming in. For me, the most important part was there were always adults coming in and out, coming from Puerto Rico, right? So they'd stay for a month, and they bring Puerto Rico in a bag, you know, and the candies and the morcillas and whatever. And so also, everything we learned about our culture, we learned here in the Bronx, right?
Morcilla? I'm sorry.
Morcillas. They would bring morcillas. They were like, my tío just killed the pig, you know, last week, and they would prepare all the foods, and they would bring. So, you know, as kids, we learned to love these things that came from Puerto Rico, even though we didn't know them fully, right?
Yes.
We didn't find out until later
Right.
what it was. That's true.
Should we tell our viewers?
No, I don't know.
No, we can move on from
Look
that.
it up.
That's a good one. That's a good one. But no, please continue.
Yeah, I want to say that existence with kind of that living in that culture, you know, Willie Colon, you know, just passed, and one of my favorite songs of his that I've used in my writing also is that Nueva York. He says, "In your streets is where I learned the traditions of my grandparents," and I think that's true for many people, right, from immigrant backgrounds, and so it was important for me that this book is like a third of my childhood and how we grew up and how we learned who we were, you know, through the adults in our life, from crazy uncles and all.
And so this book is reminiscent of your upbringing and I was not able, you know, this was handed into me the week of, but I was able to take a glimpse of your writing style, and I noticed you have poetry in it, and it's very nostalgic, and some of the descriptions were very vivid in a way that I wondered how you were able to recall at such a young age.
So I think I want you to know that I have journals going back to high school. So I'm a lifelong journaler, and I guess as a journalist, it makes sense. I would write things down, and I always wondered, why do I write things down? Why do I want to record history? I'm kind of fascinated and a little obsessed with, you know, kind of saying I was here, you know, and this is what happened, and also because I grew up in a bunch of cousins, so we get together and we share memories. But I have vivid memories of that upbringing because of all the characters, you know, who were in it. And I want to say that, you know, if you do a search, you don't have a lot of Bronx stories, or you don't have a lot of Latino stories in New York City, which with this book, I want to start to record more of that history and tell the stories. It's very important to tell our stories.
I agree. And how long has this been in the making for you?
So I guess it's been a lifetime, but I would say I wrote the bulk of it during the pandemic, you know, when I was working, but I was also home. And so I had notes and notes from all the years. I brought boxes from El Diario when I left El Diario. I brought all these boxes, and I wanted to record. So the book is like a third my childhood, a third my career, and I would say the last part is really the business, right? The industry that was media, but also I realized in the writing that my career also reflects the growth in the Latino community. I go from the 80s, right, to the 2000s, and some of those things that happened, and some of the moments that, you know, when you work in Latino press, at the end of the day, the worst day, you're serving your community. And so I feel very fortunate to have had that experience. And I wanted to write that, to write what it was like to represent, you know, people from all over.
Yeah, it's definitely colorfully written, because
Thank you.
I did read about one particular character who was in the army, who may have been identified as a lesbian, and that back then it's different, right, than where it is now, but it's part of our upbringing, I want to say, within our cultura. And so in mentioning that, I just wondered, like, in what you've chosen to write about, how has all of that shaped the way you show up in rooms?
I feel more confident. I'm also older, right? I feel like if I had done this book sooner, maybe it was just too soon. Sometimes you're too young to fully capture the memory and its significance, right? So I feel now I show up with my story and I'm eager to hear everybody else's story. Like I really have this list in my head. I want to tell these stories because I was teaching at John Jay after I left El Diario, and our kids had not read any of our authors and had not, I bring Willie Perdomo, I bring all these books in, and they're like, they didn't know who these people were. And I think that has an impact on us as a community, right? So I decided to self-publish. So the book drops on March 18th. We have an ebook going up and trying to be the #1 bestseller, and I'm gonna sell these out of the back of my car. I have a bunch of events going on where we're gonna sell the book. And for me, the most important piece is really just telling the story, kind of in honor of my grandparents, but also in honor of all of our people who made those decisions to come here. And Rena, what I think is fascinating, and as I wrote the book, I appreciated my grandfather in a way that I had not before. He died when I was in college. But it's that immigrant class that comes here, and they just battle and struggle, and they know that they're not going to see the fruits of that labor, right? He died before I was able to start my career, and so I'm in awe of that.
Yeah, I know one of the other things that I was able to receive from your book is how they sacrificed so much to get you to a place that they didn't even know anything about, right? But yet they knew that you were destined to get there.
Yes, and they always supported. I feel like even in my career, there were things they couldn't help me with because they didn't know that business. But there was the support. So I also mentioned in the book, I always shared my successes. I just didn't share my struggles with them because you don't complain. You don't complain to the ancestors and say, this is a hard day. You just keep going.
And so now for the next generation who tends to be pretty quick-handed, right? They're into the speed and the short attention span. And again, I'm really looking forward to reading the book in its entirety. What would you say to them in once again, just reclaiming your own identity through reading books about our stories?
I would say that, again, in my experience as a professor with our students, people are busy. People are so busy. People are struggling. And so they don't have time to sit around the dinner table telling the stories. And so I encourage my students, and I encourage people today as they pick up the book to explore their own history. Interview the elders. Interview them. iPhone makes it so easy. Interview them and capture some families, their secrets, they don't want to talk about how they got here. But I think it's important because if you don't know, where you came from,
how you know where you're going,
you may not value, how important this is. And so many people are out here doing stuff without actually capturing that history. And I have the same thing, with my years at El Diario. I came into contact with all these people I have pictures of. And, like when Willie Colon passed away, I want to call the paper and say, this is the importance of, Willie's role, because I just think that history is important.
Yeah, and our history is important. And I want to thank you for bringing it here to the Bronx,
Oh, thank you.
to your origins.
Yes, to the origins.
In the house, Rossana Rosado. Oh my gosh, if you guys are interested in the book, Bronx Attitude, guess what? The ebook goes on sale March 18th on Amazon, and then the hard copy will be released on March 20th. But you can find out more information on everything we just discussed on Instagram at Bronx Attitude. Once again, you can also follow Rossana on X at Rosado. How excited are we to have her here present in our open studios? Rossana Rosado,
Thank
everybody.
You. Thank
Woo!
you.
Yes. Thank you. All right, and next up, we have a story about actress Tatiana Ali, who is paying it forward to the next generation with the creation of her new children's book, Ozzy and the Octopus, offering a very special reading right here in the BX at Storyland, the Bronx Book Haven. Our Bronxnet reporter, Brittany Schuyler, shares more.
On Exterior Street is none other than Storyland, the Bronx Book Haven, not a bookstore nor a library, but the country's first children's book lounge, aiming to create a happy place for children to grow and learn to love reading.
When you've seen something in other communities, it is important to bring it back here.
Storyland's signature class trip gives students a full day of structured, fun-filled learning, from mindful movement and healthy lunches to affirmations, supporting not just their minds, but their bodies and souls too.
I'm meant to be here. and I have a story to tell.
Most recently, students were visited by Fresh Prince of Bel-Air actress Tatiana Ali, who led a read aloud from her new book, Asi and the Octopus. Inspired by her son, the story follows a young boy swept into a magical underwater world where an octopus helps him discover the joy of swimming along the ocean floor.
I just wanted to sort of capture that world that he goes to, that imaginary place that he goes to when he's dreaming about octopuses and dreaming of the ocean.
Also joining the students was illustrator Tom Martinez. As the first illustrator to visit the Storyland class trip, he told us what it meant to share his art and creativity with them.
Any opportunity to share, our work, our love of art, creativity, and imagination with kids is just amazing. And to be able to be a part of something that's kind of, historic for this place and for these kids, I think is a tremendous opportunity.
Storyland transforms reading into a memorable experience, sparking curiosity and imagination in ways that stay with children long after the trip ends.
Put it in there, in here, and in their heart, and left an imprint of, if all these grown-ups around here think this is special, and think this is something that I should be a part of, maybe that's something I'll carry with me. At Storyland, the impact stretches far beyond the page, strengthened through meaningful partnerships and moments like today's visit. Here, children are uplifted and empowered, one dope book at a time. Reporting for Bronxnet, Brittany Schuyler.
We are the eco leaders. We learned that everything starts with ourselves. Then we have to educate ourselves. Then we have to build community and use our imagination.
There's a new channel to explore, and it's bringing the classics back to life. During the day, relive the Bronxnet originals that sparked conversations and built community. At night, dive into the hip-hop throwbacks that defined the generation. One destination, two powerful lineups. Now playing on Optimum Channel 952, Fios 2138, and streaming at bronxnet.tv. BX Legacy, where history meets the moment.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Open. Our next guests are a powerhouse duo who, between them, have years of experience in global and national branding, producing for film and television. And in 2019, the duo founded Freedom Studios in Yonkers, New York, dedicated to authentic storytelling, committed to amplifying underrepresented voices, and crafting narratives that bridge diverse communities across various platforms. And their most recent program, Fix Mi Casa is an original bilingual unscripted lifestyle series that demonstrates how functional and thoughtful design can transform everyday living while simultaneously honoring cultural identity and family. The series is co-hosted by a husband and wife team, Julia Carias-Linares and Alfredo Linares, who are also the founders of JCL Staging and Design LLC. And the series is now being distributed by Latino Circuit TV. Let's take a look.
We are Fix Mi Casa.
This is the story of our family building our design business. We started staging homes that were going on the market in the New York City tri-state area.
And now we're expanding our business into building and renovations.
We invite you to be part of our journey, where together we embark on a mission to transform the lives of our dear clients.
Very nice. Here to share more is founding partners of Freedom Studios, Julia Carias-Linares and Meiling Macías-Toro. Hello. And
Hello,
welcome.
hola, hola.
Hey.
We're back.
I know, but wow. Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
On having it picked up, right, and distributed, right? So, all right, so the last time we had you on, and we are going to share a little background on Freedom Studios as well. But just to open up, the last time we had you on, you had just shot it, right? And so I want our viewers to understand what this process is when it comes to producing independently and what that looks like when it needs to be distributed and how it gets picked up. And then there's the whole, I guess, basis in which you founded Freedom Studios. So let's start there.
So, you know, it's a process, right? When you're dealing with renovations and staging, it just doesn't happen overnight. It's not a typical show where you would do, you know, a schedule. You have to go according to the projects, right? So we have been shooting it, just making sure that we were documenting the work that we were doing at JCL Staging. We didn't have a format because the idea was that we were going to pitch us to a major network and have them then
Do the heavy lifting.
Right.
Essentially.
Right. Exactly.
And so, okay, so, all right, so thank you for clarifying that. You were just capturing it and putting it on record so you have it, right? And then there's a matter of editing it and creating the story, the narrative
Well, the
behind
format.
the
I
format.
mean, we had to develop something that then made sense. So, but thank you for having us here today. And so Freedom Studios with JCL decided, okay, how are we going to format this that it can be appealing to today's market? So one of the things that we thought of was also to make shorter pieces, you know, perhaps not like a half-hour show, which was really our dream, was to have it picked up by a network and do a half-hour, an hour show. Because as you know, renovation takes time. So, but now these pieces are 10, 13 minutes, and they're digestible. A lot of people right now, that's what they're looking for to see. You want to be entertained. You're on the subway, you're on the go, you're entertained with this mobile device, and you watch the show. You watch Fix Mi Casa.
Yeah, that's where it's at right now, is short narratives, right?
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that, and also for giving us a little background on Freedom Studios, JCL Staging, and then there's Fix Mi Casa.
Yes.
There's all these dynamics. I mean, this is like the freaking marathon entrepreneur over here, Julia.
We're serial entrepreneurs.
For sure.
That is our title on the side.
Well, but it's also about identifying how you can create verticals from one entity,
everything,
right? You have to be smart in that way. Why recreate the wheel when you already have these, you know, this foundation that you could create different pieces or different verticals? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So So you have different sectors all
Right.
together. Right. So let's go. Let's start with Freedom Studios, right, and founding it, and also the independent productions that you also take on, right. So it's not always necessarily your project; it's other people's projects, but you obviously we're able to see something because where we're living right now and where we are in the media landscape is non-traditional, period.
Right.
That's period. Right? And then there's also the fact that we are all hungry for our stories, right? And so when you founded Freedom Studios, what was the intent behind it?
To tell our stories.
Right.
To control our narrative.
Right.
We're women. where I'm Afro-Latina, I'm Afro-Colombian, Julia's from Honduras, and so we wanted to be able to tell our narrative, control our narratives. I come from the advertising world where people like me was never exposed to being the principal on camera. And I always took issue with that. Every time we were casting, I would be like, what about that one? She looks more like me. And they'd say, no, we have to go this way, the safer way. The couple had to all look, you talk about café con leche. No, they had to look like leche.
Right.
So I'm looking at myself going, I'm café con leche. Why can't it look like me? So this is what Fix Mi Casa is, putting the representation of a Latino couple with a home show, a home design and renovation show. They did my basement.
Nice.
And I'm proud to say to say that, because the before and after, my goodness, it's amazing.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that, right?
Yeah,
so
sure.
what does that mean that they did your basement? They recreated a room, an ambiance. What does that mean?
All of that.
It was
A basement.
It was a basement. It was decluttering. It was then a breakdown. Like breaking down walls, floors. But of course, we hired experts, we managed it, and then Meiling and I worked together to identify and create the design. Asked many questions, and part of designing is really listening to your client and figuring out how is that space going to be utilized, and then implementing that, and of course taking anything that can resonate in terms of culture, in terms of how personalities, and then implementing it. But also functionality is really important for us, and sustainability. Taking maybe recycling a piece, right, that was already there, and
Like
just
your favorite show.
right. And just taking those pieces and creating a different version of it, but still leaving the essence of what your client. And I know Meiling, so it was
Too long, too much.
it was fun. And there were times that as a designer, you kind of have to give pushback, because you understand what works, what might not work. Aesthetically might be, beautiful, but do you want this to be functional as well?
Right.
You want this to last.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, we have an episode on Fix Mi Casa where the owner of the home is like, Julia, so what color are we going to do the center, right?
Right, the island.
The island, and she goes, black. And she goes, black? No. And she's like, no. And she kept going, yes, no. And she kept saying, trust me. Just trust me.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, she trusted her. So when she left the house and came back to look at the island, that it was finally the color that Julia chose, she was like, oh my God, I love it. I should have trusted you for, all along. I love it.
Right. Yeah, her and I
That's
went,
the kind of experience,
so that was your
these folks.
conflict.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, black is kind of hard to digest. You have to be able to see that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I get it.
But it was the island and everything else was white, right?
Got it.
So
So it
I
was
mean,
gonna
it's part of an episode, so I don't want to give too much
Right,
away.
right. So is there DIY in the show as well?
100%.
Always.
One of the things, again, is listening to your clients, right? And always finding ways to also save them. Money and
We love that.
Right.
That's music to my ears. Save money,
yeah.
upcycle, right? Because we're talking
Right.
upcycling,
Right.
DIY, save money.
Right.
Those are all
How
music
do you-
notes for me.
Right. So identifying in the space what can be reused. And so, you're going to see, really thinking outside the box, like what else, what other materials can you bring in to change the space in a way that it feels fresh, and I know about me, and Meiling and I have talked about this, spaces can transform the way you think, the way you, how productive you
Totally.
are, how creative you are. So it's really about creating an experience while you're in your space.
Right. And it's true. It definitely shifts the way you feel.
Yeah.
Right. And so, so again, we discussed the episodes being in short narratives. So each episode is what, like 10 minutes?
It ranges between 7 to 13 minutes.
7 to 13
depending on the
minutes.
storyline.
And the series, this first season is 8 episodes?
Correct.
8 episodes.
And so what can people experience in those 8 episodes?
You're going to experience just seeing, learning a few DIY, tips.
Okay.
But also seeing functionality and seeing how, when you think about your space, hopefully will inspire some folks to reimagine their spaces. But it's also representation because as we know, it's valuable what we bring to the table, especially the Latino community in this country. You know, we are part of the fabric of this country, and to show a couple that is an entrepreneur, that is educated, that is doing things for the community. Because for us, when we first launched JCL, it was like, how can we help our community? Because I feel sometimes Latinos don't think it's attainable. Design is not attainable. And so we're hoping that with this show, we can inspire many people to reimagine their spaces, but also to bring people together as a community.
That's beautiful. So then there's that hat as a designer, staging and interior design, and then there's the hat of executive producing and establishing cultivating these relationships. And you now cultivate a relationship with Latino Circuit TV.
Correct.
So if you could speak to what that was like for Freedom to partner up with Latino Circuit and where you see this going.
Well, partnering up with Latino Circuit TV was trying to find the best distribution for this piece, you know, for Fix Mi Casa. And being Women's History Month, you know, this is one of the reasons why we're also launching the show this month. The owner is a woman. And we cultivate, it's a Latina woman, and we cultivated that relationship. We had another offer, but we thought that this was really the home for Fix Mi Casa. So that's one thing that I think our relationships are very important. We have a lot of resources with Freedom Studios. I've been in the business for 40 years, whether it was from my commercial experience, production experience. And then I'm, as you know, out and about a lot with my husband, so I do get connections from all over the spaces that I attend. So I think that Latino Circuit TV is really going to give us a place and a home where this can be seen to millions. So we're hoping that, you know, March 23rd, when it comes out, this is the place that
So March 23rd is the release date?
March 23rd at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 Central. And I just want to say we're excited because we are going to be reaching not just the U.S. market here in the U.S., but we're going to be in Mexico, Latin America, Brazil, the Spanish-speaking Caribbean.
And it's bilingual as well. So they throw in some Spanish, they throw in some English. I mean, it's mostly in English.
It's Spanglish.
It's Spanglish.
It's our language
And
over here in
exactly.
New York.
And this is the first, you know, design and renovation show with Latino Circuit TV, because they were looking to expand into more lifestyle shows. So we're the first to come in and represent that. So we're very honored and very, you know, happy that Doris Martinez, who's the CEO of Latino Circuit TV, give her a little shout out.
Nice.
You know, had the vision with this show.
Well, we thank you, ladies, for being visionaries yourselves.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, you know, because we pitch this show and other shows all the time to big networks, right?
Yeah.
And I would just want to encourage people out there, if you have an idea, go shoot it, because like Meiling said, once we shot it and we formatted it and then we did, you know, we shot the last few interviews, we had 2 offers, you know, so if you build it, they will come.
Right. Beautiful. Beautifully said. And you're going global.
And we're going global.
And taking your matters into your own hands. So we're a production company that have taken various projects into our own hands. We do docu-series, we do documentaries. As you know, we did Dear America, a letter from Black women. Recently, we're finishing up Niños de Cristo, and just a lot more that's happening. We're working on a soccer series for the World Cup right now, titled Kicking It to 2026. So a lot is happening.
I know.
We're
and
busy.
We're going to have you on another occasion to go over that list, because they're wrapping me, and trust me, I know. It's all really good stuff, and we're so grateful for you guys bringing
Thank you
it
for
here.
having us
Always.
here. You're so supportive.
Always.
Yes.
Always. We have to take care of each other. We love you. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, once again, Julia Meiling, and we were talking everything Fix Mi Casa, that basically is going to be released in another week or so, maybe even a couple of days, March
23rd.
March 23rd, and if you're interested in following them, you can follow them on Instagram at Fix Mi Casa, and for more on Freedom Studios and what they can offer you, you can visit freedomstudiosinc.com. All right. And I forgot to mention, when they get released online and they begin streaming, that's going to be at Latino Circuit TV. So be sure to visit latinocircuittv.com.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
There's a new channel to explore, and it's bringing the classics back to life. During the day, relive the Bronxnet originals that sparked conversations and built community. At night, dive into the hip-hop throwbacks that defined a generation. One destination, two powerful lineups. Now playing on Optimum Channel 952, Fios 2138, and streaming at bronxnet.tv. BX Legacy, where history meets the moment. There's a new channel to explore, and it's bringing the classics back to life. During the day, relive the Bronxnet originals that sparked conversations and built community. At night, dive into the hip-hop throwbacks that defined a generation. One destination, two powerful lineups. Now playing on Optimum Channel 952, Fios 2138, and streaming at bronxnet.tv. BX Legacy, where history meets the moment.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Open. So back in the early 2000s, the 1199 SEIU and a coalition of labor unions organized a women-centric event in New York City, now known as the Red Carpet for Social Justice Coalition. The aim of the event was to celebrate the accomplishments, diversity, and solidarity of women, particularly frontline workers and union members. And now, more than 20 years later, the Red Carpet for Social Justice Coalition continues to highlight critical issues, racial inequality, healthcare access, and gender-based violence. And attendees participate by walking the red carpet in cultural attire, showcasing their heritage and promoting solidarity. Let's take a look at the Red Carpet for Social Justice.
Welcome, sisters and brothers, to our 11th annual celebration of International Women's Month. Put your hands together to welcome iconic civil rights legend, leader Kathleen Cleaver, everyone. Deloise Blakey, Queen Mother of Harlem, everybody. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The first black female Attorney General of New York State, Letitia James. Is labor in the house? Are my ladies in the house?
Can I get a drum roll, please? Let's roll out the red carpet. Let's start the show.
This month and every month we stand in solidarity with all women around the world, working to better the world and working to make sure that these children, these babies right here can reach the sky. We stand with the women who work every day to make their families and their communities stronger. We stand with the women who demand equal pay for equal work. We stand with working women because we all know that if you want something done and you want it done right, you give it to who? A woman.
Yeah, that's right. You want something done? You give it to who? A woman. Yeah. All right. Here to share more about this year's Red Carpet for Social Justice Coalition and the role that it plays in making International Women's Day a New York State commemorating holiday. Our representatives Gladys Bruno representing Puerto Rico and Zelma Brown representing Ghana. Hello and welcome.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, happy Women's History Month.
Yes, happy Women's History Month.
Thank you for being here and dressed in your wardrobe or your attire, as the doctor said earlier. And congratulations on just being and participating in this annual gathering that is really phenomenal. It's so colorful. It's so inspirational. It's so empowering. I mean, I'm saying this from my own personal experience. It is so beautiful to see women representing different parts of the world all in one room and really having the same voice carrying different causes. It's a beautiful thing. So, Gladys, obviously you're representing Puerto Rico.
Yes.
How long have you been involved with the coalition?
I've been around since about 2010, a lot of years.
Since 2010?
Yes.
And as you represent Puerto Rico, I know there's always a cause that each individual represents. What is the cause that you walk for?
I'm working for Stop the Cuts of Medicaid, because without Medicaid, a lot of our sisters, our family members, women in general, won't have the access of health care because they depend on Medicaid. So that's why that's my cause for this year. Every year I have a different cause, but
yeah, no, I know, but you also
year,
represent a union too.
Yes, I work for 1199 SCIU for the last 34 years, and you know, and I represent the members, of course, women in the healthcare, which have certain needs. So it was always important to have a woman organizer for that reason, because we could talk to each other better.
Right.
Of whatever the issue is.
Right, because for whatever reason, well, everything else it's unfiltered, we'll say.
Yes.
Right? And
yes.
And then there's also the fact that this is founded by a lovely Minerva Suarez, right?
Soya.
Soya. So, but how could I figure out her last name? Minerva Soya, who is a young lord, who is also was the president of the New York State Nurses Association, right?
And she was a vice president at 1199 also.
Look
That's
at that.
where she started.
I know, she's an organizer. She loves this event. And we're all here because of her.
Yes.
So I just want to shout her out. And then, Zelma, you're retired, but you're still in the game.
Yes, I am. Well, I'm retired since 2017 from District Council 37, Local 768. And my cause is healthcare, because now is a crisis, you know, and people need their health care, health benefits, their medicine, and it's a serious situation for especially our elders, you know, with the Medicaid, Medicare, and the budget cuts that they are doing to us as Americans.
And so I'm glad I brought up Minerva, because as a young lord, this is her field of organizing and really being a voice for the voiceless in whatever way and whatever capacity she can. Now, this particular event actually has, I want to say, a good 400 participants or so. I mean, not everybody's walking the carpet, but everybody who is walking the carpet is representing a different country, culture, as well as a cause. And so when putting this together, what is it that you all walk away with coming together at this particular time and sharing that time and space, walking that red carpet, representing your culture?
We come out of there empowered and wanting to do more for women and in humanity in general, but specifically for women, that for many years we didn't even have the right to vote, but now we do. So I'm empowered. We feel empowered, and I represent Puerto Rico, but I've learned to also go back into history and represent women that lived. I represented Juana Diaz. She lived in the 16th century. I represented Maria Viviana Benitez. She was the first playwright in Puerto Rico. So, And I learned from them because these were women that were advocate back then. And here we are doing the same thing still.
That's beautiful that you say their names, right? Because it's important to say their names.
Yes.
And also you're educating the next generation
Yes.
of those who may not do that type of research. And the fact that you're intentional about the walk and who you're representing and also advocating and passing it forward. It's definitely
important.
admirable. And so Zelma, you're retired and you're still doing this.
Yes, I am. I'm out here supporting every
She
cause
is.
that need to be called, need to be supported by, And like
Gladys
said, my ancestors are from Ghana, and I represent Ghana. And during that time, you learn about your culture and what it's about, and you can spread it on to your future generations to know what they going through in Ghana, how we came here on a ship that wasn't for us to come on. But anyway, we were here, and our culture is blending in to like Jesse Jackson say, a rainbow. We are a rainbow from all countries, all nationality, all cultures, all religions. And that's why and like the red carpet is like a sisterhood.
It is a
It's
sisterhood.
a sisterhood.
It is a sisterhood.
And we bond together, and someone is in the hospital or sick or something, we check on them, make sure they're all right. It's like another little family that
Sorority.
we inherit.
It's beautiful. I love that you refer to it as a sorority because, yeah. So before we run out of time, I want to talk about the actual formalities of receiving this proclamation from the governor commemorating International Women's Day as a commemorative holiday, and what that means. And I remember it being Senator Hinchey that handed this plaque to Minerva, and I know that there was a bill that was put on the floor to create an actual holiday. I don't know if I'm saying that properly, but a national holiday that people can actually, but we're not there yet. It's in commemorative form. So talk to me a little bit about that, because this was back in 2023 and now we're in 2026.
So to get this far, we had to get a lot of petitions signed. Everywhere we went, Minerva would give us a stack of petitions, and we would go through the whole room and get them signed. Even my mother signed one time we were in Puerto Rico for a conference, and my mom attended. We got her to sign, the whole room signed, and we collected thousands of signatures just to get to this point. So now, what we want to do now moving forward is getting it as a paid holiday for women. We want March 8th to be International Women's Day holiday, and that's where we're moving towards now to get to that point.
Right, but it's still in celebration. It's acknowledged
Yes.
now a little bit more. I mean, it's always been acknowledged as far as I'm concerned, because even the Red Carpet for Social Justice, even though the event itself is taking place March 27th, it's honoring March 8th.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I believe you said before we got on air that you just celebrated at your senior center.
Yes, we did. And it was a wonderful celebration. And we had different cultures there. And I live in Harlem.
And what's the senior center's name?
Oh, the senior center name is Martin Luther King Jr. Senior Center in Harlem, New York.
And so again, it's acknowledged anyway, right? And so I always believe, not because I am a woman, that when you want to see change, that's where it begins.
Yes.
Right. And so for this event that's taking place on the 27th, is it open to the public? I know that it gets so packed. There's like 400 or so. So how does that work?
Well, we would like it to be open to the public, but the spaces that we've been doing it so far, they're small, so they don't have the capacity. But our goal,
if you consider 400.
well, Minerva's vision and our vision is to get to the Sheraton that holds like about 1,000, because we had to shut it down because we couldn't sign nobody else up. So it's been growing ever since, and it started at $11.99 in our little auditorium, and we've moved out to we have over 40 sponsorships, and we do that so we don't have to charge entry fee. We don't want to do that. So we get sponsors to help us create this event, which is magical. The place we got now is beautiful.
It's beautiful. The whole thing is beautiful. And so how many women are walking this year? Do you have an idea?
20.
20?
And we had to shut that down too because if not we would have 50. Yes, because it's out there already. Out there that we do this event, and yeah, we have to do that because the time, the space.
Yeah.
But if it was up to us,
yeah, you'd have all 50.
Yes.
And guess what? We're gonna actually get a taste of at least 4, in addition to you ladies, of what that event is gonna look like here. So once again, thank you, Gladys.
Thank you,
Selma, and you guys. When we return for Women from the Red Carpet for Social Justice Coalition, we'll be walking our imaginary red carpet right here on Open, representing their countries in honor of their cause. You definitely don't want to miss that. We'll be right back.
What's up, creative family? Discover your voice with Bronxnet Community Media Classes. Are you ready to bring your ideas to life? At Bronxnet, we offer television production classes for community members ages 18 and over, empowering you to share your vision with the world. Get certified in field production, in-studio production, and our new exciting addition, podcast production. Once certified, you can create your own show to air on one of our 6 TV channels. It all starts with our free Unleash Your Ideas Masterclass, designed to help you plan your show idea and set you up for success on your production journey. This class is offered at the beginning of each month for your convenience. Our dedicated Bronxnet team is here to support, encourage, and uplift you every step of the way. Join us and become a part of the creative force that engages and inspires the Bronx community and beyond. Sign up today and start your media journey with Bronxnet. Visit bronxnet.org/education to learn more and register. Let's create something amazing together.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. 55% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. %34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. Bronxnet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the Bronxnet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit bronxnet.org to learn more.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Open. We are still celebrating Women's History Month along with representatives from the Red Carpet for Social Justice Coalition. We have Gladys Bruno representing Puerto Rico, and her cause is Stop Medicaid Cuts. And then we have Zelma Brown representing Ghana, and her cause is Healthcare for All. We also have 4 additional women that will walk our imaginary open red carpet, each representing their country and walking for a cause. And first up, we have Marie Rose Jeremy representing Haiti, and her cause for walking is May Haiti Rise Again. Beautiful. And next we have Dr. Flindercia Jones, representing Gambia, and her cause for walking is Stop Female Mutilation. And then we have Maria Velasquez, representing Bomba, Puerto Rico African Roots, and her cause for walking is Libertad for the wrongfully convicted. Beautiful. And closing today's walk is Marie Lodescar Francois, representing Nigeria, and her cause is Stop Child Hunger. Beautiful. Thank you so much, ladies, for making the time to share with us. And once again, that concludes our open imaginary red carpet for social justice coalition fashion show, representing the cultures of Haiti, Ghana, and Nigeria, and Puerto Rico. We do? Sorry. All right, so you guys, once again, the red carpet for social justice, we had Gambia, Haiti, Nigeria, and Puerto Rico, and then we have Ghana and Puerto Rico. And that's just a little smidget of a taste of what's in store for the Red Carpet for Social Justice Coalition that's taking place on Friday, March 27th. And the registration and networking begins at 5:30 p.m. at the Terrace on Barclay, located at DC 37 headquarters on the 11th floor. That's 125th Barclay Street in New York. And for more information, you can follow on Facebook at Red Carpet Coalition. That is our show today, mi gente. Thanks to all of our guests for coming through, and to you, our viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, you can check out this episode throughout the weekend, 24 hours a day at Bronxnet.tv. I'm Rhina Valentin, and from all of us here at Open, may the universe provide paz, prosperity, y amor. Happy Women's History Month, mi gente. Be love, y adios. All right, ladies, come on, let's get it.